funny, she's smart, she craves chocolate every day, and she is the Greek goddess of comedy. Here is your host, Ellen Karas.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Karas' Comedy Corner. My name is Ellen Karas, and we are Zooming again because we can't get into the studio. That's life as we know it right now. Very excited about our guests, but before we start that, want to get to the ads really quick. Want to thank our sponsors, Baywalk Marketing. Go to their website, baywalk.net, for all of your advertising and marketing needs. They can help you with your social media. They can help you with a flyer. They can help you with the demographics of your business, and they are experts in the Greek community. Go to their website, hollywoodgreeks.com, to find out where all your Greek entertainment is, and hellenicfestivals.org to find out where there is a Greek festival near you. Yes, there will be Greek festivals, I promise. Also, our other sponsors, Select Flex. What is it? It's an orthotic. What's an orthotic? It's an insert. As a matter of fact, the sponsor actually gave me a pair so I can show them on screen since we're doing Zoom. Let me tell you what the genius about these orthotics are. And by the way, I have them in all my shoes, I swear. Is that with the turn of a key, of course I should have taken the key out, but with the turn of a key, you can adjust the arch right here. This adjusts to firm, or extra firm, depending on what your activity is. I do not do any exercises without having these in my sneakers. I use them in my shoes that I walk around in. These are absolutely fantastic. And let me tell you something else, and they're made much better than the regular over-the-counter ones. For Karas Comedy Corner listeners, there is a 25% discount. You go to their website, selectflex.com, selectflex.com, and type in the code FAMILY25, FAMILY 25. You will get a 25% discount. They're also on Amazon. Check them out. They are fantastic. The best invention since suitcase on wheels. All right, so I am so excited because truly one of my absolute favorite comedians, I finally got to get on my show. It took COVID, it took remote, which I think I'm going to wind up just starting to do, although I really love being in the studio, but at least for some people, because sometimes it's hard to travel. And let me tell you something, she is very busy. She really is one of the top comedians. We're not going to even categorize male, female comedians.
Aww.
One of my favorite, I've loved her for years. She hails from Cleveland, Ohio. She's an Italian girl. I'm Greek. We're like this. I feel so connected to her from the first time that I saw her. Without further ado, please welcome my guest, Tammy Pescatelli.
People just are so uptight anymore. We're ruining our lives. We're talking about things all the time. We're so sensitive. Bullying. Come on, everybody's been bullied. You know that. You know that. If I asked each and every one of you tonight as you left here, have you ever had a day that you felt picked on or bullied? Do you know what each and every one of you would tell me? A story. And you know what I would say is your new best 3 a.m. friend? Get the hell over it. That's what I would tell you. Happiness is a choice because we have all had those days. I'm 100% Sicilian. You don't even know bullying until you grow up in an ethnic family. Okay? Whatever was your flaw in our house was your nickname. I got a brother, he's got a crooked eye, he's Uncle Cockeye to my son to this day. You understand? It made us tough. That way when you went to school and someone tried to pick on you, you'd be like, that's nothing. You should come home and see what Nona said to me at dinner last night. I remember people go, when did you become a comic? I'll tell you, 7th grade. That was the first day I knew it. Came home, there was a note on my pillow that said, you're a big-nosed freak. Love, Dad.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ellen, for being so patient with me trying to get this done. I mean, there's been a million things that have been happening, and as you know, I don't live in New York City. I live on the other side of Pennsylvania. So every time I would schedule with you or something was coming up, it was just a not-so time. By the way, I'll be adjusting a lot because I hurt my back. So I probably should have got some of those flex shoes. I should get some. I think I'm going to order them right now after I get off the thing with you. Because if I had them, my back would be out.
They really are fantastic. I'm not just saying that.
But if you see me going like this, it says I'm a lot of. I went to urgent care yesterday and found myself making a little joke saying, because now you don't go into the waiting room. Like you go up, you call them, then you go sit in your car. It's like they should bring you like a shake and a fry. And then they take your intake and take you in. And I was outside for about a half hour, 45 minutes, before I got in, which I'm Italian. I skeeved the waiting room anyway. I'm thrilled to be in my car. But it was called urgent care. And I said, maybe they should change the name to when we get around to seeing you care, right? And a friend of mine who's a doctor who actually worked there went crazy and said that I trashed his place. And like, it's a joke. What happened to humor with people?
Oh, that's lost. Oh, we're done. It's ridiculous what's been going on now. People really need to calm the hell down, relax. Everybody's not the enemy. I mean, we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a second. I want to talk to you first. You're originally from Cleveland or outside of Cleveland? Okay.
Yeah, I'm from Cleveland. Yeah. My grandparents came through this country to Brooklyn and then went to Little Italy, Cleveland, and all on Route 90 in Northwest or Northeast Ohio.
So I've done a bunch of shows, Hilarities.
Of course, the Greek one.
Right, which is Nick, owned by a Greek man, Nick. And there's also a few Greek churches that I did in Rocky River and down in Cleveland. And
the most famous Greek church that was in the Deer Hunter is really? In Cleveland. That's where that Greek church, and the Deer Hunter. It's a beautiful, one of the most beautiful churches in the country.
So you grew up, obviously, pretty traditional Italian, which again, as a Greek girl, I totally understand. I'm from New York. I grew up here, but there like so many similarities, ethnicities. Did you have a lot of siblings?
I do. I only have 2 brothers, but I have 11 first cousins that were all boys. Now I have tons more cousins, but what happened for me is when I was a kid, my mother got very sick until I was about 10, 12 years old. She battled all kinds of breast cancers. I mean, not all kinds of cancers, breast cancer, thyroid cancer, ovarian cancer. So I was mostly raised by my grandparents who were Italian immigrants. My brothers have a different kind of life because my mother was better by the time they got older. But I was raised with all the boys. I was raised, making gnocchi on Saturday afternoon, but Saturday morning was going to the fruit store to buy all the bruised fruit and having to spend 2 hours cutting peaches off while I'm trying to watch cartoons, So I grew up in that. Then I decided that I didn't want to be traditional. I didn't want to learn how to cook. The only thing I did that's traditional was shave my mustache. But I didn't want to get married. I don't know what you're talking about. I know, it's horrible, right? I didn't want all of that. I decided to be a comic, and then here I am back in the tradition came out. I mean, I went to therapy to deprogram that Italian guilt. I think Greeks are a lot like it. Like, you can't have too many good things happen because they're afraid something bad's going to happen. And all the family and societal pressures to, how many thank you cards? If someone sends me a thank you card, do I got to send them a thank you card back? And then they send me, like, it's a never ending, it's marathon thank you cards. Like, I've been having it on like a chain since I was 17. So
you and I think are separated at birth.
It's not.
I had that same experience, very traditional. And I also went to therapy to deprogram. Isn't that
really?
Yeah.
It's a unique thing.
Yeah. The only thing is, so when you graduated, did you go right into comedy? Like, where did comedy or acting? You're also an actress as well.
I guess I'm an actress. I am an actress when I get cast, but I don't really get to audition for a lot. And I'm very heartbroken on lots of the things that I do audition for because it's always me and the person who gets the part. Not always, but a lot. So it's real heartbreaking because they go, oh, you don't have enough on your resume. Well, duh. I did go to college. I went, the whole point, it's funny because my latest special that just came out March 17th was the Way After School special. And I went to my old high school to shoot it because in 10th grade, when I went to my guidance counselor and I said, I want to be an actress, she said, you're from here. No one from here has ever been on TV. So if you want to be on TV, you're going to have to rob a bank. It's like this little suburb outside of Cleveland. So I went to college. I went to Kent State University. I became a fashion design major. And right at 21 at graduation, my high school sweetheart and I broke up. My parents had moved. I went to hang out with them for the summer because I was supposed to have an internship in the fall in New York. And that summer, there was a comedy club in this little town. And I loved stand-up. I just never thought a woman, I guess it was a different time. I didn't see a lot of faces I could relate to. There was a female comic. She was usually talking about her husbands, her facelifts, her kids, exactly where I am now in my life, quite frankly. Sorry, I have to keep moving, but my back is bad. And then, so I went in and I got a job as the world's worst waitress because I'm also 21. You got to make friends with people. I'm only there for 3 months. I'll be perfect. I'll make a little money. I'll see comedy and make some friends. And then a woman came through who was, I learned about real stand-up, that you didn't have to be famous to be a working comedian. There was a tier level, headline, feature, MC, and you could actually work and be a comic. And I was always very sarcastic. And a woman came through the second week I was there as the host. Well, she actually came in as the headliner, and then they moved her down to feature, and then they moved her down to host. And I said, I'm as funny as she is. And my brothers bet me $50, and I was broke. And I got on stage to do an open mic, and it was sponsored by a radio station who then hired me right there to do a morning show. I was the sidekick on a morning show. So I was doing that in the morning, in the daytime, going to work at the comedy club, learning the whole thing, like calling for, reservations and stuff. And at night I was the house MC. And that's it. Then it became my show. And 2 years later, I quit. And I've been on the road ever since.
What did the
long story, but that's it.
What did the Italians have to say about all that?
Oh, no one believed it. First of all, I used to tell this joke, and it's hard to just say now because it'll sound harsh if you don't A, know who I am, or B, know like the story. If you get to see my act, you see my story, you see my family's crazy, but they're heartless. I mean, well, my mother-in-law's heartless. My family's harmless. But my grandfather, when I said I wanted to be a comedian, it's a true story. My grandfather said, "Are you a lesbian?" And I said, "What?" It sounds like something you get wet after midnight. And then he's like, "Are you lesbian? It's okay. You tell Papa. I take care of him. You lesbian? You're not married. You might be lesbian." I'm like, "No, I'm not. Just like stand up." So, because that's all they knew of female stand up back then.
Right. No, listen. So I got to it later than you did, and I was an accountant and a CPA, and I worked on Wall Street. I had a different start. Then I wanted to do acting and then stand up. But just to tell you that even when I did it later, I was a bigger adult than you were, and my family to this day. They're still like when April 15th comes around, it's like, you're busy, right? You're busy. I don't know. I'm only doing stand up for 20 years, but okay.
Isn't that funny? Well, it's so bizarre, like just where time has gone. I mean, this is my 25th year. July 6th, I celebrate 25 years. And it's like, I don't know where, I mean, I should obviously have a better career. But I just tried to make choices that made sense, and back then we weren't trying to be female comedians. We were just trying to be comedians. I would go on stage with, 2 bras and what I did call the lesbian comedian uniform, the big t-shirt, the vest, and the jacket with my hair in a scrunchie, trying as hard as possible for them not to see my sexuality. It's amazing. Or to see that I was a woman. I mean, think about it. I was never a supermodel, but I was a cute young girl, and that wasn't seen at that time. So I really tried hard to dull myself down and I wish I would have known that it would have been okay to embrace it. Like, I'm so excited for this new generation of female comics.
Yeah. I'm going to freak you out. My comedy anniversary is July 6th.
Wow, that's very cool.
Yes.
Super cool. Like I apologize. Do you see my shirt? I have my Wonder Woman. I can never go anywhere without her. So if you're wondering if it looks violent, that's what that is.
I love it. So I know it is definitely better now for a lot of different reasons. And back then, as if it's a million years, but it feels like
It was, though. It's a whole. Listen, I just had my son is 12, so count backwards. So maybe 13 years ago, when I said I was pregnant, my agent told me, "Don't tell anyone. They will cancel the rest of your work." He said to me, "What are you gonna do?" And I said, "Never forget to take my birth control pill again." And made a joke about it. But that was their mentality of it. That's what I'm excited for the young girls. I really don't know that it's, gonna help us. No one's really looking for, I'm 51, I turned 51. No one's looking for a 51-year-old, television host at this point. Like, I don't know how much. I think that's one of my biggest, where I hit the blackness during this quarantine for myself personally, is I had done a special that came out with the Showtime, That Women at a Certain Age, on the 14th. And on the 17th, dropped my hour special that was my love project, going back to my high school, showing them that you can do it, creating a scholarship for the kids with the money that we used there, having kids who were in the high school work alongside, assist some of the professionals so they could be part of it and get an IMDb credit to also to tell off that counselor, but she was dead when I got there, but whatever. So I think that's part of this whole thing felt really dark. Cause I'm like, I'm not exactly sure. I was at the second height of my career where I forced it into that situation. I put my family first and somehow still made it maintain in Pennsylvania. And then this happened. So I don't know how many more chances I'm going to get, but I'll just try my best. I definitely need a haircut, though. I will say. This Zooming all day has gotten to me.
I just want to be like that. It's gross. It's heinous here. But you have already established yourself. You were on Last Comic Standing in 2004.
Yes, that was the fun season 2.
A couple of season 2, and then you went back
and
to
3, whatever that was. Yeah, but that was a really good season. That was the season that had like 18 million viewers. We were actually supposed to set up and do a Zoom reunion the week that the world collapsed with all the chaos, not in the middle of quarantine, but all the other the relevant world changing things that ultimately are going to be for good. But hopefully we get to reschedule that.
Right. Oh, that would be amazing. That would be so fun. That's when I fell in love with you. Like, I was like,
well, they made me Whoppy Pescatelli, that's for sure. I mean, that was early. That was early on in reality, so we didn't know that they would, characters like Kathleen Madigan was the quirky one. I was like the bitch, because they have to have the Italian Sopranos are big, so I was the bitch. They turned Bonnie McFarlane into like the floozy and made us fight when really we were friends before that, but we didn't know, and we really did fight. But the editing really created a lot of that too. So it was like nutso. It took us 5 years to really talk again. And then, I just said, hey, I want you to know that 85% of those things that they said, I did, but not about you. And she said, same. And then we've been like this ever since.
I love Bonnie. She's hilarious, and Rich I've worked with, and they're good people. It was so fun over the years getting to know so many of the people that were on the show.
Oh, good.
I'm not really great with the whole contest concept. That's me and my insecurity.
No. I would never do it again. But it was fake concept anyway, because I suppose I can say it now. NBC had us under contract for a long time, and you couldn't say anything. But at the end, Kathleen and I were in the final 5, and an executive came into our dressing room and said, well, just go out there and give it a good shot. And this was before we went out for to do our bit, to do our stand-up for the finals. And I said, yeah, you never know, we could win. And, and he goes, no, we'll never let a woman win this show. But go do a good job, and walked out. And Kathleen and I just went, what? And me, the hothead, like I was trying to walk out. We were trying to quit. And I'll just tell you my story. I tried to quit right then. They said, we'll sue you for $50 million. I was actually going to go out there and just take the microphone and go, don't vote for me, vote for Kathleen. Prove it. They wouldn't let me do that because they would have sued me for breach of contract. So it was big. I mean, then years later, they went on it took them 12 years, I think, and they finally let Eliza win, or 10 years. But to know that they knew that prior to, they just said, advertisers won't vote for women. And that was 2004. So look how far we've come.
Wow. I remember watching you though, and I loved your presentation. I loved how your material, you were just, the way that you spoke, it was just so clear, concise. It was so storytelling with a little attitude. It was, and you can relate to it. It was just great. I just loved your stage presence. I loved it. I would like be watching, like, that's what I want. That, that I'd love to, form that same skill. I mean, you were just amazing. And from that show though, I mean, all of you were able to monetize on that. There were tours and some bookings, at least in the first few seasons.
But we were really lucky. I mean, what was great about my season, that season 2, and I think 1 as well, except for a couple, but especially mine, we were all headliners. I'd already done a Tonight Show. I was the least accomplished with just one Tonight Show of that group. So what was able to, and already had worked for 10 years, all of the improvs, all the funny bones, worked my way up as an MC feature headliner. So we were all able to hit the ground running, boom. And we'd be out, we'd be filming, because they added 8 more weeks to our filming. We'd be out out on the road and then come back and film. We just, you'd come home Sunday night, you film Monday, Tuesday, then you go back out on Wednesday. So it was a crazy time. I wish I would have done it differently now, but I was so broke from all those years trying to make it. I ran out trying to make some money. I think I had some ill advisement, I should have stayed in town and auditioned more. But at that time also, no one wanted to deal with you because you were a reality star. I mean, I had executives from NBC. Again, I don't know why I even worked for those people. They were so rude. They were part of the scripted part. We were at some kind of upfront party, turned their backs on us. They didn't even look at us. Meanwhile, you have development deals with us, but they didn't want anything to do with us. That's why no one from those seasons ever developed a television show, because NBC scripted didn't want anything to do with reality stars. And that's the truth. And that probably could go viral, because that's I don't know, I'm saying it, but.
I always question the business logic. And, these companies are public companies, and their first responsibility is to shareholders. So signing people to development deals and not utilizing the talent is a waste of time and a waste of money. And
but you see, when you sign me to a minimal development deal that I can't get out of for 2 years, while I have heat, I cannot go to CBS or ABC or Fox, which were the only ones then, or MTV and VH1 were developing too. But I couldn't. I mean, I lost out on a big deal with a different type of talk show that went on for a long time without me, but it was originally created by a pal with me as the host of it. So they hold you. So to spend a little bit of amount of money, it's good business for them. It's like, it's like all these big conglomerate chains that are shutting down the mom and pops. We're the mom and pops that were just holding us hostage.
Right. But then you went on to also develop a reality show for WETV. This was after, right?
Years. I mean, I was in LA for another 5 years, 5 years just doing all kinds of stuff, specials and little parts and things. And then I got pregnant, and my husband's family's from Brooklyn, and we tried to move to New York. I mean, I knew I didn't want to stay in LA. You know, there was the day that I thought, oh, I'd love to stay here. And then it was beautiful. It was sunny in January. And then a man walked by me in a 3-piece suit, a briefcase, and a Superman cape. And I was like, I don't know how to make this a teachable moment.
Right.
Although now I've learned and I've changed and there's much better. So we moved to New York, but we moved in one attached Brooklyn house away from my mother-in-law, who at the time, my father-in-law had died a year before. All 4 of her sons got married. And to say that she's difficult, I mean, I joke about it in my act, but I always say, like, the Pope would stab her with his hat. Like, it was really it's a true story. Like, I would love to see this one day play out in a television show, because I went to work one day. I worked until the day before I gave birth, because my son came early. Then I went to work one day for a corporate, just one day. And I came back from the overnight, and I saw a man walking away with my grandmother's chair. A chair that I've taken from her house, moved to LA, moved to this way, moved like 4 apartments in LA, moved to New York. And I see it when it was sentimental value. It wasn't a throne. It was just a chair that my grandmother had. I have to run down. I'm like trying to pull it. He's like, the lady put it out there. I then realized, as I looked down, all my stuff, all my furniture is on the sidewalk. And I'm like trying to comprehend this. Like, am I getting thrown out, whatever? So I have to pay him for the chair. I get it. I'm walking it back. She walks out with my son on her arm with a bottle of formula, which I had taken painstakingly long to figure out how to milk and pump and put it away. And says, she goes, I got the new furniture. You don't have no good furniture. I give away. It's junk. It's junk. Meanwhile, people are picking through. So she got new furniture and decided that mine was junky. So she had all mine thrown out and put her old furniture in my house. Now, people go, isn't that nice? Like, my husband was like, it was nice of her. It might have been nice if she had asked me. But I was a grown woman, like, with my own thing. So I, that day, had a house in the town we live now, Meadville, Pennsylvania, that was a getaway house. I have a lot of cousins that live here. And at the time, my one brother lived here. And I took the baby and I said to my husband, if you want to, because he didn't think there was anything wrong. So I said, if you want to be a man, you come hang out with me and your son. And if you don't, we'll be there, we'll figure it out. And then he came and my parents came and landlocked us here. And then we got the TV show based out of here about me being a wife, a mother, and a comedian, leaving Hollywood, raising them around my crazy. I left the Hollywood crazies to raise them around my crazy family. So that's what happened.
That sounds great. I mean, but I feel like, you're due for another round. I mean, that was in the beginning.
Yeah, that was I'll tell you what we was a fledgling network and they didn't know exactly what they wanted to do. The show was about me being a wife, a mother, and a comedian. And that's exactly what was happening. I would be filming all day long. And then the crew would leave, 17 people. My son would go to bed. My husband would go to bed. And I, with my Italian, something just happened, sorry. With my Italian OCD, would be up cleaning till 2:00 in the morning. And then the crew would come because I didn't want the world to see my house messy. Then we'd have 2 days off for the week for the crew. But on those 2 days, I would get on a plane and go to work. I would come back on Sunday and everybody'd be waiting in the driveway and be like, here. And so here goes my back. But when we was trying to figure out what they wanted to do, they put us on hiatus because they got a new president of the network. By the time they came back to pick up another season, it was too hard. I had all of the notoriety, but none of the money. So literally people in the town, this is a town of 14,000 people, are so sweet, but a couple of them had just shown up on my back door, with people. This lady goes, I met them down at the gas station and they love your show and I wanted you to meet them. And I'm like, you realize you're just bringing it straight. And my kid was little, they all knew his name. And I felt like there was some weird things. So, I mean, yeah, maybe now I'd be due. I mean, it's definitely time. I think I'd like to do a cartoon though.
Uh-huh.
So that way it doesn't matter what I look like.
Oh, you are stunning. You are so
Oh,
you're a
sweet.
tiny little thing too. I thought you were taller when I met you.
Yeah.
And I did get to see you. You saw how short I am, so I'm shorter than you. Because you have a big stage presence. But you're certainly nationwide. You've traveled the world as well to do comedy.
Yeah.
And you do a lot of private stuff. People also don't get that as comedians, just because if you're not on TV all the time, or you're not churning out a special every year, we do a lot of private work that people hire us for. And when I say that to somebody, they're like, oh, I didn't realize. I go, whether it's a party, whether it's a
I work all the time. I lost 47 just to give everybody an idea. I wasn't even finished booked for the year. I lost 47 dates on Wednesday, March 18th, of which only 9 rescheduled, and then one of the theaters closed down. I was just in the transition of moving from the clubs to some theaters. I mean, this is what we do for a living. Like, I can go get a job, and I will go get a job if I need to. I'm not above it. But to find a job that pays me what I've worked all these years for, like I'm starting fresh, like I don't know, I can't get a job as a doctor. Like that's, that's my skill level. That's where we are right now. So it's really tough,
What does your husband do?
Well, he was an actor and a comedian. When I met him, he was Tony and Tina's wedding. I mean, if you went anywhere in the early 90s, you probably saw my husband, Luca. And Luca was a comedian. He was a paid regular at the Comedy Store, although I swore I would never date comedians. I met him in a completely separate way. We had 2 separate groups of friends, so it was so weird. But now he became like this entrepreneur, and he bought a whole bunch of things here, because in true Brooklyn fashion, when he had lived in Brooklyn and LA, the housing prices were crazy. So when he came to a small town, he went nuts, and he bought a mechanic's garage, or he created a mechanic's garage, not even a mechanic. So he's got that going, and a couple other rental properties. But and again, true Brooklyn form, rental properties don't make money here. They're like, they barely cover. Most time, like right now, no one's paying even the rent. So it's always something. I got to come up with something to help. He also had a stroke 2 years ago, so that was kind of tough.
Your husband had a stroke?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, he's so young.
Yeah, well, he's a smoker. He doesn't want to quit smoking, so that's what happens.
Yeah, but well, first of all, when we do come back, and let's talk about that for a second. I want to ask.
Yes, I'm going to blame all this weight that I have gained in the past like 10 years. I weigh 30 pounds more than when I was on Last Comic in 2004, right? I used to weigh like 121, and I'm probably close to $150 right now. So I think I'm going to blame it all on COVID. So that way everybody goes, oh yeah, I gained weight during quarantine too.
Oh yeah. Well, first of all, you look great, and second of all, I hear you. Like, quite frankly, they called it. Remember when they were blaming it on bats? I'm like, we should call it like the bat wing virus. Bat wings are coming.
Well, what's funny is people always love to comment. That's the one thing that has never changed for any female in the industry. But as a comic, I always found it so crazy that I would be judged on my looks, because honestly, if I thought I was cute, I wouldn't have been a comedian, So when they insult your looks as a comic, which they never do for male comics, like, especially now they're like, you're old, or she's like, I see with comments, she's gained weight, she's so fat. I'm like, I'm coming to see you when you're 51, and then we'll talk. Okay, right. Let's see where you are, because I'm holding it together as much as I can hold it together.
Right. Yeah, just wait till you're down to 4 almonds and an apple.
Right, that's right. And you have no thyroid. Look, no thyroid, no dent, no divot.
There's so much. So this virus, whatever you want to call it, hit us and hit everybody, of course.
Right,
But
of course.
I'm very concerned because on the scale of priorities, all entertainment is used with disposable income. And I think, people are going to have first other priorities, maybe
Well, I'm really in trouble because Pennsylvania, I couldn't even get unemployment because Pennsylvania doesn't have entertainer as an occupation.
Mhm.
So I said, not only can I not get that, and we got through that, but obviously they're not going to open these things again anywhere close, any theaters. People don't care about that when they really should. They really, really, really should. Now, I was lucky I got all of my specials and stuff out, so hopefully that's going to be good if people need to see it. But
I for a while I said, the first sort of month and a half of this, I'm like, yeah, people aren't going to be in the mood. But I think now we're in 900 days later. I think, because I see here in New York City, right? So the restaurants, what they're doing now is they're opening, if they have a door or a window or their panels, and they're putting a table and they're using it as a bar. So people have gone nuts, especially now that the weather is nice.
right. Thank God that happened for us, because we would be like I just did for the first time in 3 months. I did 3 shows. I had to go to Rochester, New York. It was this comedy club called Comedy at the Carlson, and they're a great little club. They finally get to open this week at half capacity, but so upstate New York, they had a parking lot comedy.
I'm sorry, what does that mean, half capacity? So what did they seat?
So they're going to get to open this weekend at 175 seats separated. They're going to be the biggest comedy club in the country right now because they're allowed to open. A lot of the other ones are bigger, but half capacity, but they're just not like they'd have bigger half capacity. Like some of those improvs and funny bones are 600 capacity, so they'd have 300, but they're not allowed to be open. Rochester has cleared them to open and they can do it. But prior to that, for 3 weeks prior, they had started these parking lot shows, and they created their own drive-in where they took over a radio station. We were on 89.1. The cars were parked in the parking lot. They set up these big screens, and I stood outside and did comedy while they listened in their cars. Some of them sat in their little groups by their cars, but they had space. They could stay inside. It was really difficult because I couldn't really hear the laughter. They tried to honk their horns or flash their lights. Finally, as the weather got better throughout the weekend, they sat outside and I could hear it. But it was separated by a road that like cars were driving. And, like you'd be telling a joke and just as you're getting to the punch, here goes a semi and blocks me from that. So it was crazy.
And somebody like you, it's like, I've had a Netflix special, I've had a TV special, I've been on a reality show. I mean, talk about, making you feel humble.
Well, it's this series. I have been in a level of being very humble for a couple years because when I happened to be involved in something where it was a group of us just talking about originality of another comedian and trying to, draw some light to say, hey, good luck, just leave our stuff alone. It all turned on me. And the people that I was talking with, I was the fourth one to say anything. All 3 had been talking prior to me, but it all fell on my shoulders and I became the fall guy. I became the patsy, and I lost my agent and my manager all in one day. I lost my best friend. So I had to completely learn some humility in order to sustain my career. I had to then call comedy clubs and theaters and create until I could get it, because then no one wanted to touch me because I was canceled before it was called canceled. I'm ahead of my time. And was able to work my way back in because then later on I was proven to not just, originally they thought it was just jealousy. That's the way the publicist on the other side painted it, but it really was the truth.
Wait, hang on. I have a bit of a recollection. So is this?
Yeah, you got to be careful though, because I don't have enough money to fight that. So
Okay,
yeah, but it is what it is. It's out there everywhere,
right,
and all it is
I
more
think
than anything is it was never. I'm not a chick to be jealous. It was just like, hey, there's an originality problem here at the very least. You know,
boy, I thought we were able to express ourselves. I guess not.
only some people are allowed to.
Right.
And whoever has the best publicist creates the narrative. I mean, I even said, sorry about moving again, it's the back. I even said, look, I'm sorry I said anything. I should just kept it talking behind the back like all the people do at the comedy clubs. But the publicists on that side wrote, accuser apologizes. But it literally, I mean, it was a mess. I was the fourth one to say anything, but somehow I was the one who started it. It's the narrative.
It's
okay. It's
Yeah,
all I'm saying though is we'll all come back.
Yeah.
Humility I learned a long time ago in that situation and a couple of years ago, and it was wonderful to learn because now I'm focused mostly on I just got to take care of my family, whatever it takes, that I can still maintain what needs to be done. I have a 12-year-old son, whatever I have to do, but very blue collar attitude. I'm not looking to be famous. I'm looking to give the best possible show for the hour that I'm on stage so that those people don't feel like I ripped them off. And not only will they come back to see me, but they'll bring 4 of their like-minded friends. So, someone once said it was a grassroots campaign. If that's what it is, that's what it is. I just want to continue to be my best and let my work speak for itself.
So speaking of your work, so what is your process? I mean, you have a lot of material. And when you're on stage, you have a lot of material.
Yeah. I was thinking about it. I literally have 4 hours that I have my Netflix specials now on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
Right. That's called Finding the Funny. I have the 2 half hours on Comedy Central, and I have the hour that is out on iTunes, Vimeo, purchase for Prime, the Way After School special that just came out, besides the Showtime and all the other stuff. So I have to really be careful because I don't remember my act anymore. So I'm trying to keep it all fresh and new. I'm in a rebuilding stage. But my process is a lot simpler than it used to be. I used to have to try to create, like when you first knew me, I wasn't really living a life. I was watching a life because I was just on the road. I was single. I didn't have any, and I refused to talk about dating because I didn't want to be one of those. So I was very limited. I just mostly talked about my family. Now the material is everywhere. My brain thinks that way, but I mean, literally, I have my husband's family, my kid. There's just so every day there is something that is going on that's crazier than the next. But I will say it's even funnier to watch people treat me, like as this is going on. Every time I think that I'm going to be okay, I get a phone call from a relative that goes, I don't think anybody's going to need comedians anymore. Thank you. That'll make. So are you still depressed? I wasn't until this phone call, but thank you.
I know the family's very encouraging.
Oh God,
I know. I hear you. What are you gonna do? So I'll be fine. Yeah. But do you like wake up in the morning and write? Do you find time like is writing old school or is
No, I love to physically write it. I used to love to wake up in the morning and write, but that's not my own anymore. You know what I mean? There are too many things. Cat, dog, kid, husband, too much. If I'm not home, then I'm on the road doing press in the mornings. So that kind of threw me off too. My process is really, it's the weirdest thing. When I'm really good at coming up with new things, either in the shower, in the old days when I could get a massage because my brain would shut off, on the plane, places where no one needs anything from me. Right. Or just at those few moments before I fall asleep where I kill myself because I'm like, I got to remember this. And I look for my pad of paper next to the bed and I don't have it anymore.
Spoken like a true mom.
Yeah. So I know Alexa she's going to talk now, but she knows a ton of my jokes that I have no idea what they're about. I'll be like, hey, remember the tulip. Stupid.
Have you ever thought about doing like a one-woman show in almost play?
Yeah.
Play.
I
Have
did
all
for
these
a while.
characters in your family.
Yeah, but I'm not real good at doing characters, so I don't know that I would delve into that. It's hard. I mean, now everything is open, and now this is a complete reset, right? By the way, I do end up with my jokes in my phone now, though, because it helps me. Oh, the dog is done. It does help me to coordinate them. Like if I need to, like, thank God they were in here because I could pull them up and read them right before I went on stage rather than carrying around big notebooks. But this is a reset, where I used to just do straight monology. Who knows? Maybe I will do something like that. A friend of ours, the one that was the producer of Tony and Tina's, I was like, why don't we do a modern day version of that? Mm-hmm. Luca and I could do that. Let's write that. So there's I have a lot of ideas, just I've been trying to sell a couple of different TV shows, and those are always on the board because we sold another one after ours that I had nothing to do with, but just produce and create. But I just want to, my next thing for me is I think I really want to work on my animated thing. And, I do a show with my son. I want to see how that works. We started that during quarantine called Finding the Funny Family Style, based off my special, because his generation isn't laughing. Our generation, all the other ones are watching stand-up, but what do they have? Their television shows are funny, but there's no stand-up for kids. There's no jokey jokes. We used to have jokes everywhere, on gum wrappers, on on Dixie cups, on a popsicle stick. There are no jokes for them. So he and I sit down and we tell a couple jokes, and we have kids, telling jokes. We play videos of those, and some big heavy hitter comedians like Mark Maron and Billy Gardell have been, and so many great, Larry the Cable Guy, and millions of other, Alonzo Bowden, John Heffron, Bonnie, all of them have sent us clips of them telling kids jokes. So it's really cute to see a grown comic telling a kid's joke, It's just a fun little show.
That's a great idea.
We do a joke of the week.
That's amazing.
To teach them, because our concept is one laugh a day. I don't want that generation that's like our grandparents that doesn't laugh. Where does it go then? You know what I mean? What can we do if they don't laugh and they're sensitive? Think about your grandparents. Nothing was funny until it was funny, but they were lost on the concept. And it wasn't just because of a translation problem, because they didn't even want to my grandparents didn't even like Italian comics. You know what I mean? So we want to make sure that the kids continue to laugh. We do a flashback comedian where they learn that comics have been telling jokes for a long time. With Moms Mabley, Flip Wilson, Johnny Carson, Jackie Gleason, and so you can sit and watch it with your kids. And we tell a couple jokes, have the comics tell the jokes, kids tell the jokes, and you learn a joke, the joke of the week, and that's it. And we're done. Quick little show, 10 minutes.
I love it. And you do that, you said once a week?
Once a week. We've taken a couple weeks off when all the social injustice things that have happened. I felt like it was more important for parents to take the time to have a conversation about social injustice and what that means to them and in their family, and how they could be effective in the change. And then this week I was going to do it, but my back is just, I didn't want to do it on drugs. That's, to tell you the truth.
Where is that? Is that on Twitter?
It's on Facebook Live. It's on my fan page, Tammy Pescatelli. Okay. And then we put it up on YouTube. It's cute. We get about 10,000 views when it's up live on Facebook. And then on YouTube, it doesn't get very much, but that's okay because they're all there. Everything isn't just about views and stuff,
So kind of you just touched upon what's been going on. So we're in a very sensitive time, and I do worry about the state of comedy by the time we really kind of get back there as to what we're allowed to say and what not. Now, you and I are both non-offensive comics. And I do also talk about my husband and my Greek family and getting older and some of that stuff. So, it's not like we're radical or we're saying things that are really going to
Yes, but
pop a nerve, I think.
maybe.
But maybe, exactly. Because
I'm very strong and I'm very, unapologetic of who I am. And I say this over and over. I don't know that I'm funnier than I've ever been, but I'm more confident than I've ever been. So that's what I've become funnier over the years because I believe in every joke that I tell because it comes from a real, true, honest place. So they're no longer jokey jokes. So in anybody, I think one of the problems in society right now for comics is people go, why can Dave Chappelle talk about George Floyd? Because people love Dave Chappelle. So Dave Chappelle can talk about anything. So if you play a clip of Dave Chappelle just doing that, you can drop in at any point and they love him. But not everybody knows me. So if you just take a small clip of something I'm talking about on stage and it ends up on the internet, someone films me and they put it up out of context, or they're not a fan of mine and know my heart, because you know Dave Chappelle's heart, right? That that he's a good guy, he says silly stuff, he mocks himself, a background. Take it completely out of context, that's how people get hurt. And that's how you destroy comedians. So when I was standing on stage last week for the first time in 3 months, for the first time in my entire career, 10,000 hours of shows, I was afraid that someone might take it the wrong way. And I used to tell a joke. If I offend you, good. You probably needed to hear it. But it's not my heart. And I just wanted to, and I think that'll go away. But it was really scary for a quick second. I'm like, oh my God, are they going to take this the right way?
Right. Because I really feel like stand-up comedy is the last bastion of where we can.
Yeah, we always say that. I always hear those words said about stand-up. Last bastion, last bastion. Everybody says that. But it's not. It's really not. It's the last bastion that you can try, but it's not always accepted. It used to be. Comedy was better when it was secret, when it was private, where you went before the internet, when you went to see your favorite comedian, when you were fully immersed in that. So, and then those people that had specials were ones that you knew. When we were fully I'm not saying comedy was better. I shouldn't say that. It was better for comedy. Let's say it that way. When people, because they loved you. If they were your fan, it's because they saw you and they knew you. You know what I mean? So if you said something that was just, listen to some of the stuff that people used to talk about. If you heard some of those comics now, you'd be like, oh my God, that's horrible. But you knew how they were saying it. You knew what Eddie Murphy was saying about Elvis.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
He wasn't mocking Elvis. He was joking about Elvis.
Right.
Big difference.
Right. It's going to be very interesting. And like I said, though, I think it's going to take a while. I kind of look at where Broadway is and when that would open up. I mean, I travel around as well also, so that's not the only gauge of entertainment, but just that whole like theater concept. I don't know, maybe I'm also a little jaded because we're in New York City and this was a hot spot and
I think people in New York should go collectively to some kind of PTSD thing, because I think that you guys really, 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 I mean, I was in and out of New York from January 8th until March 12th, 15 times. And I saw it every time I would come back, I could see it change in jumps. You know what I mean? Because I had those time jumps. And I feel like you guys really, as much as they tried to prepare, it was really tougher on you than almost anywhere else in the country, because a lot of people don't have cars, that your bodegas are small in number anyway. So I said, it was so scary for people to walk into a bodega or a grocery, even your Trader Joe's are smaller than the average ones. Yeah. And to see empty shelves, it really not only did you have a pandemic, but you were having panic, and that was really horrible what happened to New York City. Really
Well,
horrible.
I live on the Upper East Side, so it was more about the workout studios and the cool sculpting spas and
Yeah. Hey,
hair.
I need some Botox. I'm ready. I'm like, when can the Botox come back?
Oh
I
my
would
God,
really.
I feel disgusting. I
Well,
can't
by the way, why can't we ever have a pandemic of botulism? That would be nice to see. So what? I throw up a little bit. My skin looks terrific.
Well, you are on one of my good friends, Carol Montgomery's
I love her.
Showtime special, which is when I accosted you after you got off stage, going, "Please do my podcast." But
I wanted to do it. I want to work that club. I really don't work very many New York clubs because I never got to know. I work, some of the other, but I don't work that club. And I'd love to come down and work there.
yeah, well, I'm sure they would love to have you.
Well, you'll have to introduce me and make sure so I don't feel stupid.
Yeah, no, totally. I have to tell you, you must get this too. You have a New York essence about you because
It's the Italian and it's the confidence. And I've been with this Brooklyn boy for 15 years too. Like people are like, where's that? Your accent's all messed up. And I'm like, no, what you're hearing is my attitude stuck with his emphasis, the emphatic,
Right. Thank you so much for doing this. I know you have to hop, and
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Give us. Because I don't want to mess it up. So your specials, your Amazon special. I have to watch that one at your school. That's incredible.
So I'll see if I have a link. Any of those works still, I'll send it to you. That is on iTunes, anywhere that they have. You can. It's on DirecTV. You can download it. You can order it from anywhere that you see films, like iTunes, Amazon Prime. You can purchase it, Vimeo, YouTube, Google Play, whatever, Spectrum, all of those, Verizon, whatever your cable system is. Then the older special, Finding the Funny, is on for free on Amazon Prime. And then, where Showtime is, women of a certain age, too, or more women of a certain age.
Right. There's two. So you were on the second one, which was great. That was a great night. Also,
fun night, fun.
And I listen. You're gonna be, you're gonna be. You're so talented.
You're very kind. Thank you. Did you hit your head while you were in quarantine?
No, I'm going to tell you something. I swear. My husband doesn't think I'm funny at all. He is just praying that this pandemic will get me back to accounting. But and when I have taken him to comedy shows, I'll be like, "Hey, you think so and so?" He's like, "I don't laugh," which is bullshit because I hear him on the phone with his friends. He thinks you're funny.
Well, that's very sweet.
When I said to him, he's like, "Oh, she's really funny." I said, "Well, I completely agree with you." Yes.
Do you want to know a weird thing? I sell 67% of my tickets to men.
I believe it. I totally believe
because it's non-threatening, I guess. I'm not real chicky. I have that, and they don't. It's so kind because I'm a permissible sale that they can say to their wife or their girlfriend, "Hey, let's go see Tammy." And I feel like that's a high honor where women go, "Hey, why do you want to go?" And it also means I'm old and fat, but whatever, that's okay. Hey, well, I appreciate it. We'll have to do something together. Let me know. And thank you for the compliments. Tell all your friends that are casting directors.
Well, I don't understand why you haven't been a show. You're the one revolved around you, or the friend, or it's actually pissing me off because you should be.
Well, that's what I thought was going to happen from that special out of Carol's show because I gave them the best 10-minute development set that I was able to give them. So But I think everybody shut down. Who knows?
Oh, yeah.
By the
Oh, that-
time, you know.
Well, I mean, I know it's hard to say, but I mean, don't take that personally. That's just kind of what
Yeah,
happened.
but that's all I have now. I have to take it personally. It's our act, right? Like I have nowhere to start from.
No,
again.
I meant about you not, them not going forward with you. It's like it all, or all shut down. But when it does come up.
Yeah. No, I didn't mean them. I don't mean Showtime. I just meant like in general, I thought Hollywood could see that spot and go, whoa. And I was lucky. I did get a few really, really nice big name people that gave me a quick call and to tell me what a good job it was.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so that
As
was
you
nice.
should. Do you have a website?
Yeah, Pescatelli.com.
Okay.
All my socials are at Tammy Pescatelli,
Okay.
Pescatell. All you have to do is Google
Okay.
Italian comedian Tammy.
Okay. All
And
right.
it all
Great.
pops up.
Follow Tammy. Watch her show with the jokes with her son on Facebook.
Finding the Funny Family Style. We're going to do one.
I love that.
We're starting next week again on Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern. I'd love for you to record a joke for me and
Oh,
put
sure.
it on a kid's joke and send
Yeah,
it to me.
absolutely. I'm not a mom, but I'm a really
It's not
good.
about that. Mark Maron isn't a mom or dad either, but it's about the comics telling not a joke about kids, a kid's joke. You tell a jokey joke, like, what did one eye say to the other eye? Between us, something smells. That's our joke of the week for next week. So do that one for me.
I like that. Better than any of my jokes, that's for sure. All right. Thank you, everybody. I am Ellen Karas. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Greek Chick Live, Facebook, Greek Goddess of Comedy, Ellen Karas. Go to my website, ellenkaras.com, ELLEL. I don't even know how to spell my name. ELLERIS. I'm verklempt because I had Tammy Pescatelli on my show.
I love you. Mwah. Thank you. I'll see you in New York.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.